Okie dokie. Today, the St. Louis Blues equaled the team record with their 10th straight victory. Team record. This team has been in existence for 52 years. It is noteworthy when they set a record, or at least equal it. To break that record, they're going to have to win at home against Toronto. I don't know about that one, but still, the 10-game winning streak, right? Their last loss was to the LA Kings January 21st. It was a 4-3 loss. And that was right about when we're like, well, they're probably done. See, right now they're 31, 22, and 5. They're 6 points back in Nashville with 3 games in hand. But at the start of this winning streak, they were in 12th in the West, and they were 5 points out of the playoffs. And that was when there was all that talk about who was getting sold and for how much, including Tarasenko. There were rumors out there that Vladdy might have been on his way out of town because Vladdy wasn't playing very well. He wasn't scoring, and it just wasn't there. And then things just kind of turn on. The first win is at Anaheim, 5-1. Now, Anaheim scored first, but the 3 stars included Zach Sanford and Ryan O'Reilly. So a 5-1 win for St. Louis there. Then they go to Columbus. They win 5-2. Impressive going from Anaheim to Columbus. They still win. They led 2-0 after 1. 3 stars included Vlad Tarasenko and Ryan O'Reilly. Tarasenko shows up a lot on here. Number 3, they won at Florida, 3-2. They trailed 1-0 after 1, and of course, famously, they trailed 2-0 in the third. But because it's Florida, they stormed back and they won it. And yet the only St. Louis Blue in the 3 stars was Vince Dunn, because 2 of the 3 stars were Panthers, even though they blew a 2-0 lead in the third. I don't understand that. Then they go to Tampa Bay and they win in overtime 1-0. Absolute statement game right there. And that to me is when this turned from just being a nice little story to, hey, there's something here. 3 stars included Jordan Binnington and Braden Shen. Shen had the overtime winner. And of course, Binnington was pretty good that night in a shutout. First star was Vasilevsky, however. 5th win in this was against Nashville. At home, 3-2. They led 2-0 after 1. A little shaky in that, but they win it. 3 stars, Vlad Tarasenko, Jordan Binnington, and Robert Thomas. Then they go to Nashville for the next game, and they win 5-4. They led 3-1 after 2. It's 4-4 going into overtime. They win it in overtime. 3 stars, Vlad Tarasenko is the 1 star of the 3 who is from St. Louis. And there were probably some concerns at that point on some level that, well, they won it, but I don't know if I like how they won it. But at the same time, they get 4 points in 2 games against Nashville. Nashville gets 1. So when you look at Nashville only being 6 points ahead, if they'd won those games against St. Louis, they're nowhere near them. We're still talking about St. Louis being a wild card team, and maybe they make it. They go from Nashville, they come back home, and they destroy New Jersey 8-3. They were up 3-1 after 1, 6-1 after 2. Your 3 stars, Alex Pietrangelo, Ivan Barbashev, and Jaden Schwartz. So a bit of a variety there in terms of 3-star selections. Then this road trip happens. 3 games, they just completed this road trip. They score 11 goals. 4 in Arizona, 3 in Colorado, 4 today in Minnesota, and allow a goose egg. Nothing on the entire road trip. They led 2-0 after 1 against Arizona. They scored all 3 in the third against Colorado, and today they scored 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and then they rode it home in the third period. There is a confidence that has taken over with St. Louis, which is very impressive. It is a confidence in themselves, in their defense, and in their goaltending as well. 3 stars for the game against Arizona, Tarasenko, Binnington, Joel Edmondson gets in on it. 3 stars against Colorado, Jake Allen, Vlad Tarasenko get 2 of the 3 stars. And at Minnesota, Ryan O'Reilly, Vlad Tarasenko again, and Jordan Binnington. So Tarasenko's been quite the story. Now, when you look at overall, they've outscored their opposition 40-14 during this winning streak. They've won 8 of them on the road and 2 at home. For people who've followed this channel for a while, you will know that early on this year I was concerned because St. Louis had a home-heavy schedule and they were losing a lot at home. And I said, geez, they better be good on the road then. They've been absolutely deadly on the road. So for St. Louis, yeah, it turned out pretty well. It turns out that on the road, they're not bad. Winning 8 out of these 10 games on the road is impressive. Now, When you look at the goaltenders, Binnington started 8 of the games. Allen started 1. Binnington saves 12 out of 13 against Anaheim. So very few shots. Then he saves 18 out of 20 against Columbus. Again, not very many shots. He had 22 out of 24 that he saved at Florida. Again, so that's 3 starts in a row, and the highest number of shots he faces is 24. The wonderful thing that's gone on with St. Louis throughout this is the confidence, the defense, and the fact that this kid comes in and they gave him some relatively easy starts that helped him get into it. He goes to Tampa. They allow 32 shots. He gets the shutout. They allow 31 when he plays against Nashville. He saves out 29 of them. Against New Jersey, he saves 20 out of 23. I think there was some laziness that kind of came in the third period of that. When you're up 6-1 after 2, it's hard to maintain that intensity. And then, of course, against Arizona, he saves all 21. And today, against Minnesota, he saves every shot again. So for him, he ends up with 3 shutouts in this winning streak. 8 wins out of the 10 belong to Binnington. He's now set a record for St. Louis rookies when it comes to wins in a row. And it's an impressive run. And Jake Allen has gone in twice. Saved 40 out of 44 at Nashville and saves all 32 when they played in Colorado the other night. So he has saved 72 out of 76 shots in the 2 games he's played. The one against Nashville, did he look shaky in the third? Yeah, probably. But against Colorado, he looked pretty sharp. Now, if you're wondering where things are going to go from here, well, before we move on, Tarasenko has had 20 points during this 10-game winning streak. Ryan O'Reilly's had 11. I still say for the entire season, O'Reilly's their MVP. During this streak, Tarasenko has looked like the guy that I picked to win the Rocket Richard Trophy last year, who came nowhere near it. This guy is, I think he's up to, 26 goals now? Yeah, he's on an amazing run. This has been fantastic, and he's really been the driving force behind St. Louis and what they've been able to do. There's a lot of credit being given to Craig Berube, and while I agree, 10-game winning streaks are tricky. Last year we had the Flyers, had one. We had Buffalo earlier this year, had one. This is a streak that's equaled Buffalo's now. And I do still think, all right, well, this is great. Let's see how things go from here. Now, the remaining schedule, I thought, why not just put that up? They're at home against Toronto, then they're in Dallas, they're at home against Boston, and then their last game before the trade deadline, they go back to Minnesota and play Minnesota again. So they got 4 games left before the trade deadline. Lots of time to evaluate things and for General Manager Armstrong to say, all right, here's what we're going to do or here's what we're not going to do. I don't anticipate St. Louis being very busy at the deadline. After the deadline, the last game in February is against Nashville. Then in March, they're in Carolina. They're at home against Dallas, so they play Dallas twice in a short period of time. Then they're at Anaheim, LA, and St. Louis, at San Jose. So they have the California trip in there. They come home and play Arizona, and then they go out on the road again. They go east. Ottawa, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. Then they have a 4-game homestand. Edmonton, Detroit, Tampa, Vegas. Edmonton, Detroit, that's kind of nice if they can take advantage of those games. If they can win their games in California. They've got the game in Buffalo. They got a game in Ottawa, the home game against Arizona. My point is this. This is not a horrible schedule. They go east again at the end of March. They go to the Rangers. They go to New Jersey. And then in April, they have 3 out of 4 games at home against Colorado before they go to Chicago. And then they're home against Philly and Vancouver. Circle that April game against Chicago because it may be a very important game for both teams. Maybe for St. Louis to see what kind of spot they get in the playoffs, and for Chicago to see if they get into the playoffs. Or maybe Chicago continues their run, St. Louis continues theirs, and next thing you know it, Nashville's in a wild card spot, and against all odds, and by all odds I mean it's very unlikely to happen, because the separation between Nashville and Chicago is, I think, 16 points. But I'm just saying, if St. Louis and Chicago somehow met in the playoffs. But yeah, that's a game to watch. Colorado, that may decide whether or not they make the playoffs. And, of course, Philadelphia, 7 points out. Not likely to make it, but who knows what's going to happen with them. They've been on an incredible run. And, of course, ending the season against Vancouver. We'll see where they're at. Jordan Binnington himself... he's been overshadowed by Carter Hart. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Carter Hart is a lot younger than Bennington. Bennington's had a lot more time in the professional leagues. And for Bennington, I think it's more of a surprise. And yet, St. Louis was supposed to be third in the division. That's where everybody had them. It was supposed to be Winnipeg and Nashville in either order, either Nashville first or Winnipeg first, and St. Louis was supposed to be third. So St. Louis, with this 10-game winning streak, has kind of gone to where we thought they were going to be before the season started. But Bennington's been great, and we'll see how long it continues for him and how many more games Allen gets out of these 24. I would think probably 6. And I would look for back-to-backs. I would look for road games where they want to give Bennington a bit of a rest to find those 6 starts for Allen. But to me, Bennington's been the starter at this stage because, again, 8 out of 10 games are his, and he's played fantastic hockey. So there you go. O'Reilly's had 11 points over these 10 games. Tarasenko with 20. It's been quite the story. You look at the 3 stars, it's dominated by Tarasenko for the most part. O'Reilly and Bennington are in there too, but it's really been Tarasenko quite a bit this year. Amazing run. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And one question. Buffalo did this one on that 10-game winning streak, and then it kind of fell apart after that. Is this run by St. Louis something that is sustainable, or could they potentially find themselves like Buffalo going through a slump after this? Let me know what you guys think and where on this schedule you think that slump could happen if it does. I think, I picked them for third in the division. I think they're solidly in third. And I don't foresee that changing. But let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.